Hey everybody, how's it going? So I'm gonna go ahead and do the Q&A. So I did that introduction. You guys put a bunch of questions in there. Some of them are duplicates. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually having my beautiful wife Esther, who I cannot show on camera because if I did, you guys would want to steal her because she's so beautiful. Oh, she's so embarrassed. Okay, say hi.
Hi,
Esther.
guys.
Anyway, what I thought would be fun is if she reads me the questions, and then I'll just sit here and I'll just answer them. And so, again, if there's a duplicate question, she's not going to read it because I'll already have answered it basically. So she's going to go through them. I'm going to try my best. I haven't really prepared for this, and I did it on purpose. I thought it'd be more fun to do it off the top of my head. I mean, I looked at some of them and I read some of them, but I haven't read all of them. So anyway, she's just going to go through them and just read them, and then hopefully I can answer your question. Again, I'm not a scholar or a pastor or anything like that. I'm just a guy who loves the Bible, and this is my hobby, and so this is really fun. So whatever I say is what I'm trying to say is whatever advice I give you or my input, just know that it's just my advice, and it's not that you shouldn't view it as authoritative or anything. So that's the long and short of it. So okay, honey, go ahead and read them off.
Okay, so the first one is from Dreaming of You. They said, I am a new subscriber. What does a typical day of Bible study / reading look like for you? If you feel comfortable, describe your process.
So typically what I do is I do a daily Bible reading plan. So me and actually my wife, me and Esther, we share the same Bible reading plan. And we like to do that because then we can, we both read the same passages and then we can both talk about them. It's like, hey, we read this together. And we found that I really like that because it keeps us unified, but also I think it's more fun when you guys are reading the same passages. And we've done a bunch of different Bible reading plans over the years. The one we're doing right now is the Blue Letter Bible chronological plan. And we chose that one primarily because it's a little bit lighter than the one we did last year, so that we can really just kind of take our time reading. Last year we did twice through the New Testament, once through the Old, and that one was good, but it was a lot more chapters. This one usually is like, Esther, what is it, like 3, maybe 4 chapters?
Yeah.
Maybe, something like that. So again, it's the Blue Letter Bible reading plan, but essentially the question, right, was what do I do? Like, what was my daily...
Your daily Bible study.
So typically I do that, and then what I do on the side is I usually supplement it where I do a more deep dive on something, whether that's a book of the Bible, like I'm going through a book, a study on that, or a study on a certain passage or doctrine. Lately I've been doing devotional, I don't want to say devotional books, but like more spiritual books, and then going through them and doing Bible study that way. So that's been something that's really fun. But I made a video on my deep study system. So if you're asking more along the lines of what do I do for in-depth study, I recommend go checking out that video, and I'll put the link below. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I just do a Bible reading plan and then supplement it with stuff I want to do on the side. So, okay.
So the next question is from Matthew Johnson. He said, which church figures, apostolic fathers, reformers, Puritans, etc., have had the greatest influence on you?
As far as if we're going in like more apostolic fathers and the early church fathers, to be honest, I'm familiar with them and I've looked into some of their stuff, but for the most part, I more tend to focus on, and this isn't I'm not trying to be disparaging against that. I would say let me just say, my biggest influences as far as interesting, like what I've learned, I would say I like some of what Augustine, Justin Martyr, a little bit of Tertullian, if we're going early church fathers. And if we're going reformers, Calvin, he has a lot of good stuff. Martin Luther, he's got, what's hard about that though is I've read some of their writings, like for example, Augustine, right, The City of God. So I've read that, or, Augustine's the famous one, the Confessions. And those are really good, but I just, it's just not really my thing necessarily. And hopefully you Reformed guys don't beat me over the head with that. But it's not that I haven't studied the subject. I just, it's most of my heroes are newer, I would say, or more along the lines of, I don't know if there's a question like that in here, but most of my heroes are more, like my newer heroes like Chuck Smith or Charles Ryrie or, R.C. Sproul, these guys, and most of the times because they're taking the influences that have been passed on from them into me. So hopefully that answers the question. So.
Okay, so then next question is from Elijah Douglas. He said, what is your favorite book of the Bible / favorite verses? And what is your favorite worship song?
My favorite book of the Bible is probably the book of Hebrews, because I spent a long time, about a year, studying it, just for fun. It was really the first book I did an in-depth study on. My favorite verse is in the book of Hebrews, and it's, let us hold resolutely to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. And I believe that's Hebrews 10:23. I could be wrong. I think that's my favorite verse in the Bible. But yeah, let us hold resolutely to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. That's probably my favorite verse. What was the other part of the...
What is your favorite worship song?
My favorite worship song? Probably the Power of Your Love. The one... the power of your love. Hold me close. That one? That's probably my favorite worship song. One of my favorite Christian songs, though, the one that had the biggest impact on me, is called Welcome Back. I did a video with it. It's in there. It's by Love Song, because I kind of was a prodigal for a little bit, and that song really spoke to me. It's kind of talking as if you're from the perspective of someone that was raised in a Christian home and then kind of wandered away and came back.
There's a question about that later, too.
Oh, is there?
Feel free to go more.
Oh, okay. So then I'll leave that alone. So okay. Next question.
The next one is from Daniel Leonello. Probably not pronouncing that right. He said, a short bio / story / testimony would be great. Maybe why you are dispensational.
Why I'm dispensational?
Yes.
Okay. As far as my testimony goes, I actually kind of covered that a little bit. So if you go find my video on the New Living Translation, I kind of gave a brief description of my testimony, but the long and short of it is that I was raised in a Christian home, and then there was a season where I kind of wandered away. I never did anything nuts. I was still, I never did drugs or anything like that, and was sleeping around, but I definitely wasn't living the Christian life, and I wandered away, and then I ended up, the Lord brought me back, and the long and short of it is that, it's according to his grace. And a big influence of that was my wife, because, at the time we were dating, and then I wasn't going to church when I first started dating her because my job was a little difficult. But what happened was I ended up going to church a lot with her, and then that really helped to bring me back. It was her influence. So she played a big part in that. So she's smiling over there, but it's true. It's true. You never know the impact you have on somebody. And so, yeah, but that's the long and short of it. As far as why I'm dispensationalist, the easiest way to answer this, because that's how I was raised. I've always been dispensationalist. It's hard to say, though, with dispensationalism, because there's so many weird dispensationalists out there that normal dispensationalists, I like to think that I'm normal, we get a bad rap. And I would say the long and short of it is because I did research it and look into it because I was toying with covenant theology for a little bit. But the truth is that the long and short of it is the reason I'm dispensational is because dispensationalism really is just a literal interpretation of the passages. So it's as little spiritualizing as possible. There's actually a video that's really interesting. It's by a group that's on YouTube. They're called Odyssey. They don't have very many subscribers, so you should definitely go check them out. But they're covenant guys, but they did a video talking about the distinctions between dispensationalism and covenant theology, and it was fascinating. I don't agree with their conclusion, but still I would recommend it to anybody who's interested on the subject. I thought it was very well put together, and they made it much more digestible than I ever could. So definitely go check that out. If I remember, I'll put a link below in the description. So, okay.
Okay, so the next one is from Move On, My Dear. They said, I've been looking for a Bible teacher that isn't covertly leading me to an ism, Calvinism or Arminianism, It's been a weary search. I just want to learn the Word of God as accurately as possible and to follow it with God's grace. My question: how do you study in a way to avoid bias? Your own, your church's, those of the commentary you're studying from, and others you know.
I would say listen to a broad spectrum of teachers. So for me, for example, a lot of my influences, someone teased me because I mentioned I like Chuck Missler, but I also mentioned I like R.C. Sproul, and you couldn't get two more different Bible teachers. But the point is that you can learn a lot from everybody, especially from those you disagree with. So I would say to avoid bias, especially with teachers, it's impossible. It doesn't matter who you're listening to. I mean, me, for crying out loud, if you're listening to me, you're going to be getting my bias in whatever issue. Like for dispensationalism, I just said why I like it. But the point is that every teacher has some amount of bias. So the best way to avoid that is, number one, always interpret Scripture with Scripture. That's the easiest way to do it. But as far as Bible teachers go, I would listen to a broad spectrum of teachers. So I like Chuck Smith, I like Chuck Missler, R.C. Sproul, John MacArthur, John Piper, Zane Hodges, Charles Ryrie. A really big, diverse group of guys, right? And the point being is that the wider the stream, the more unbiased an opinion you're going to get. So that would be my advice. And same thing with their books. Read a wide spectrum of books across different theological camps. That's what I would say.
So the next one, Kevin Saved by Grace, has 5 questions, so I'll ask you one at a time.
Okay.
The first one is, what is the focus of your channel and what type of Bible-oriented content would you like to produce?
I started the channel doing just Greek videos because I like Greek, the New Testament Greek. And so I just started by doing reviews of Greek grammars and things like that. But then it kind of morphed a little bit where because I didn't want to just do Greek videos. I loved Bible stuff in general. So really, I would say the focus of the channel is on just Bible content. Typically, most of my stuff is on translation stuff, and I would like to get into more theological discussions. It's something that I like. So really, I would just say Bible study. I would say Bible study if you're going to put one title on it, but just the Bible in general. Not so much. I would like to get to doing into more teaching, but I did put a description in the channel. If you go to my channel description, it'll tell you the things that I'm interested in. So I hope that answers the question. What's this?
So second question, what do you do for work?
I work for a headstone company, so I do like tombstones. So like I go to cemeteries and I actually install headstones. So that's why a lot of the videos are rural, where I'm out in the woods or something, because a lot of the cemeteries are out, in the woods, and so that's where I have a lot of free time. So I go out there, and that's what I do. I go and I take headstones and I install them in cemeteries. So.
Third question is favorite food.
What do you think?
Chicken bake from Costco? No, I don't know.
Those are pretty good. I don't really have a favorite food. I jump around. I don't know. I really like hash browns, I guess. That's usually
breakfast food.
Breakfast food. Yeah, it's probably breakfast food. I'd say hash browns or biscuits and gravy. That sounds pretty good. Okay, next one.
Question 4. Unforgettable God moment in your life.
Unforgettable God moment in my life. That's kind of hard. I don't really know. I guess when I got more serious about my faith and rededicated my life to Jesus, I would say it's probably when he orchestrated things where I just happened to have read the book of Romans, and it was, happened, but I just on a whim almost just picked it up and read it, and that had a profound influence on me. I'd say that's probably one. I know it sounds so simple, but can you think of one? It's like a bunch of little events, but yeah, sorry. I know that's a little lackluster, but nothing really crazy has happened to me. I mean, I'm still pretty young. I'm only 28 for now, so sorry. Hope that wasn't a bust.
Question 5. Favorite commentaries and Bible study resources.
Ooh, my favorite commentary. If we're going one book, Haley's Bible Handbook. I love that thing. It's not in depth, but it's super good for like big picture stuff. If I'm going a commentary set, the MacArthur commentary set is fantastic. The Lenski New Testament commentary is also fantastic, but those are big volumes. You have to have like a full set. If I was only going to pick one set, I would go for the Bible Knowledge Commentary. It's a 2-volume set, Old Testament, New Testament. It's fantastic, great overview. It's made by Dallas Theological Seminary faculty members. It's really good. I really recommend that. That's probably one of my go-tos, but I use a lot of different commentaries. But if I was going to recommend one, my favorite, it'd either be Haley's if you're going to get one book, or the Bible Knowledge Commentary set. So
the next one is one you already answered, but I just wanted to throw out there. It's from Matt Libid. He said, here's a question. What's your daily devotional routine? Also, do you follow a Bible reading plan throughout the year? But you kind of answered that.
Yeah, so both of those. I do a yearly Bible reading plan. I try to read at least once a year, the Bible straight through, and then I just supplement on the side with whatever my biblical hobby is at the time. So
then the next one is from DM1523. He said, are you in ministry anywhere?
No, technically no. So I serve in my local church. I go to a Calvary Chapel, and so I serve in the church. I work on like the video team, but I don't teach per se. I used to lead a Bible study, a home Bible study for about 2 years. I co-led one, so I did that. But the answer is no. I'm not in any teaching. I'm guessing that means you're asking for teaching capacity. In that case, in church, no. So.
So this one is from Christian Brennan. He said, I'm a fellow nerd and I'm really enjoying your videos. I appreciate your humility. Sometimes it is good to hear from a fellow Christian who is passionate about the Bible and you can relate to, and not some big Bible teacher. My question, do you struggle with prayer, and what prayer tips would you give?
Oh, it's funny you ask that question, because I just brought that up. We go to a small little home Bible study. So our church has these, they're called life groups. And so I went in there and I just brought that up, where I'll be honest, I really struggle with prayer big time. And that's something I need to work on. It's difficult for me. I tend to find that I gravitate towards having an intellectual head knowledge only. And I don't get into enough nearly the spiritual side of it of prayer. And it's something that it's a struggle for me, I'll be honest. But it's something that's something I need to work on. But I'm trying to work on it, that's the point. So I don't really have a prayer routine. I'd say that I try to do, when I'm doing Bible study, before I do any in-depth Bible study or reading, I try to do a prayer beforehand. And I'm trying to get into the habit of praying throughout the day, because that's what I really lack. And I'll be honest, that's a weakness of mine. So that's a great question. Yeah.
So the next one is from Trey Evans. He said, I used to read the NIV all the time, but my pastor usually preached from the NLT. So I read from the NLT and I read from the NLT and found the Bible crystal clear. Now I use this translation most of the time. But there's one place where I see a difference in translation is in the Esther story. Most other translations say that Haman was executed by hanging on a gallows, but the NLT has it as an impalement on a sharp pole. Which was it? I admit this is a very minor issue, but I'd like to get your take on this. Esther 7:10.
As far as the NLT goes, I actually really love the NLT. It's the New Living Translation, if somebody doesn't know. I really like it. I think it's a great translation. It's very dynamic, so that might be part of your question. Dynamic means that they are more free with how they interpret a passage. So instead of giving a word-for-word equivalent, they'll say, well, what is he trying to say? And then they'll say it that way instead of doing word for word. As far as Esther, that passage goes, there's two problems, which is one, I'm not familiar with the passage, that variant or difference. It could be a textual thing. It could be something where the Hebrew text underneath it, there's some disagreement, or it could be that maybe there's a translational dispute there. I would be surprised. I would look into that and see, and look in your NLT, see if there's a footnote that says that, or hanged himself or something. The problem that I have is that I don't know Hebrew, so I wouldn't be able to, even if I was familiar with that passage, I wouldn't be able to speak with any authority on that, because I know Greek but not Hebrew. So sorry, I won't be able to help you with that. But I would recommend, looking at a footnote or looking up, go to Blue Letter Bible. They have a lot of commentaries for free. So if you go to Blue Letter Bible and go to that passage and you can hit parallel commentaries, maybe see if a commentator made a note about that. So hopefully that helps you out.
Okay. Crystal Samples has a few questions. She said, where are you filming?
In the woods. I live in Washington State, specifically in the Puget Sound area. So all over the place. So everywhere up from Seattle to Mount Vernon, and basically from Canada down to Tacoma, wherever I have time, and that's where I film.
And then I think there might even be another comment like this too, but they want to see your Bible collection at some time.
Oh, I'll make a video about that. I'll show that. So it's my wife's great bane. It's me buying Bibles. Understandably so, because she's like, you don't even read them all. And that's true. There's no way to possibly read all of them, but why stop when you could have more? She's right, though.
Next one from her is Bible college or seminary?
Is that all it says? No, I have not gone to any Bible college or seminary, and I'm guessing she might be asking too, am I planning on doing that in the future? And as of right now, no, I'm not. I got other things that I'm working on, and I just, I like to learn on the side, and I just don't see God calling me to do that. So,
married and or kids, and any dogs or cats?
Yes, obviously I'm married. Esther's on the other side. We have 2 kids. One, she's 2.5, and the other one's on the way, a little boy. And then we have 1 cat. So yes, Phoebe, I don't see her in here, so.
Nope. Okay, next question is from Matthew Allen. He said, maybe discuss plans for ministry, whether they be vocational or laity based in your future.
Honestly, it's an interesting question because I love teaching. But I don't feel like God's calling me to be a pastor. And so I would definitely see myself, I would love to have more teaching capacity to our church. But as far as being like in ministry, as far as being a pastor, I just don't feel like God's has his calling on me to do that, at least at this time. But I guess one ministry aspect would be this channel. I really try to do I try to do nerdy stuff too because I like that, but I really try to interweave with that personal application, and it's just something that it's like, they go hand in hand, like you need knowledge, right? Knowledge and application, right? You need knowledge, so hence you need to look for it, but what good is knowledge if you don't apply it? So I would say right now, as far as ministry goes, probably YouTube, but I'm not opposed to that in my church. I'd love to do that. It's just, at the moment, I'm not in a teaching capacity, I would say.
The next one is from Catherine Marshall. She said, please teach on what family worship looks like.
Family worship. I actually know her. This is my cousin. Her name's Kathy. So she's asking me this. So I would say it depends on what she means by worship. If she means worship as in like singing and stuff like that, or devotional. As far as because worship is so broad, and we oftentimes use it only to refer to singing, but I mean worship is prayer, teaching, things like that. So I really try. What Esther and I try to do, I've been pretty bad at this too. I'll be honest, of doing like a family devotions. But what we try to do is at least, and we do talk about this from time to time, like what we read to in our Bible reading, or we'll pray, but that's something that we could be better on. So I'm just keeping it honest. So, yeah.
So the next one is from Jamie Harris, and I mean, I think you already answered this one. Who are your favorite Christian mentors / influencers? But you covered
My favorite Christian mentors and influencers would probably be, if I had to choose my top 4, it would probably be Chuck Smith. Chuck Smith is a huge influence on me. Chuck Smith, Chuck Missler, same thing. Zane Hodges, and then a guy named his name is Bruce Gore, and he's actually he's another guy on YouTube. He's got a lot of good stuff. So those 4 guys would probably the biggest influence on me.
So this one is from OK Jaunty. He said, As a fellow nerd, what else are you nerdy about?
Anything.
Everything.
Everything. What would you say, Esther?
Oh my goodness. You love watches.
Yeah.
You like Star Wars.
Oh yeah, big Star Wars guy.
Yep.
Like pretty much anything, really. It doesn't matter. I made a joke, but I was serious. Like, you could work at a button factory, and if you're passionate and telling me about it, I'll be interested too. I'm kind of like a lame version of a Renaissance man. I'm interested in everything, so it really doesn't matter. So sky's the limit on that one. So
this one is from the OGMP. It said, question: has anyone ever said that you remind them of Wrangler Star? You have a similar cadence as him.
Question is, which Wrangler Star are you talking about? Are you talking about old Wrangler Star, like bushcrafty kind of forest guy, or are you talking about like newer Wrangler Star, like the more insurgent kind of fight the government Wrangler Star? I'd be curious to find out what you think. So if you see this, comment below. But I actually used to watch Wrangler Star for a long time. So one of my other hobbies is bushcraft and survival stuff. Oh my goodness, Esther knows I was into this for years. I still am. So.
Oh yeah, that's something you're nerdy about is bushcraft. You're very nerdy about that.
That would be probably my second biggest passion. I don't know why it didn't pop into my head.
I know.
So, yeah. So, well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment because Wrangler Star, he kind of does do that. He usually sits in the woods and talks. That's funny. That's funny.
So this one is another one from Matt Libid. What are your top 5 Christian books?
Top 5 Christian books.
I think you kind of covered it at the beginning, though.
Did I?
You did.
Did I? Probably number 1 would probably be The Reign of the Servant Kings by Jody Dillow. Number 2 would probably be Calvary Chapel Distinctives, which I know that title sounds funky. But it's more like you could title it so you want to be a pastor or you want to plant a church. But it was really instrumental as far as my YouTube channel goes. Just learning just to let it go and give it to God and stuff like that. And it was really surrendering and having a spirit-filled life. So Calvary Chapel Distinctives. Number 3 would probably be Absolutely Free by Zane Hodges. That was very, very good. I recommend if anyone's interested in Lordship Salvation versus Free Grace, I would definitely check that out. Don't agree with everything Zane Hodges taught, but still is a very good book. Number 4 would probably be The Great Gain of Godliness by Thomas Watson. So you couldn't get more different. Like, that's a Puritan guy right there. Actually, there's a hero of mine, Thomas Watson. A great guy. I really like his stuff. So Thomas Watson. 5, let's see, probably The Minister in His Greek New Testament by A.T. Robertson. That was super good. Especially if you're interested in Greek or learning it, definitely read that book. It's got a great story called John Brown of Haddington. So those would be my top 5, I would say.
So the next one is from DUM Home and Family. Question: what led you to start a YouTube channel? If it was God, how did He show you and how did you know it was Him? What was your thinking and decision-making process? Had you thought about it for a while or was it a sudden thing? What factors influenced your decision?
Wow, that's a really good question. I actually started the YouTube channel really on a whim, sort of. So, everybody's wanted, probably, I'm sure everyone at one time or another has wanted to have a YouTube channel. And I'd always been trying to come up with some idea, but I never acted on anything. And so then really it was a whim one day. I just thought I was annoyed because there was a grammar, it was Bruce Metzger's textual commentary, companion to the UBS Greek New Testament. And as I'm saying that, it's so nerdy, but there was no YouTube video on it. So I just made one, and that was my first video. And then I thought, well, that was really fun. So I made another one, and then I just kept doing videos about things I was interested in. And then it kind of really, God's blessed it and it took off. So as funny as it sounds, God was clearly leading, but it wasn't so clear in the beginning. He just blessed it. So the question is, how do you know what God's leading you to do? I'd say if you feel a desire to do something, that might be God calling you to do it. So take a step in faith and do it. But, and if God blessed it, then there you go. But even if He doesn't mean His hand's not in it. It just means that, maybe He's, but but then obviously don't, try to make something happen in your own strength. That was actually one of the things I learned from Calvary Chapel Distinctives, that book. Was Chuck Smith said this, and it really impacted me. He goes, listen, if you build something in your own strength, then who maintains it? It's you do in your own strength. But if God builds it, then hey man, it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about it because God's going to be the one to maintain it. So do your best, but hey, if you're in his context, he's talking about planting a church. You plant a church, you do your best. You have 8 people, be faithful serving 8 people. You have 800, 8,000, doesn't matter. If you're faithful, then God's going to bless it in one capacity or another. So in the YouTube channel, I'd say that for me, God's really blessed it and it's taken off like crazier than I ever thought. But man, I was happy when I had 8 subscribers, and then now, I think right now, what is it, 4,600? Which, I mean, in YouTube world, that's not that much, but in my world, I'm just blown away. And hey, but it's God's YouTube channel. Hey, if it were to go away tomorrow, I don't care, man. It's God's. So I hope that answered the question.
And then, I'm probably not pronouncing this name right, but this is from Matuz Cherik. He said, I'd be pleased if you make a video on your favorite Bible study or study Bibles and 1-volume Bible commentaries.
Okay, I'll make one. So 1-volume Bible commentary, I would say probably Haley's if you're talking one book. Bible studies, my study Bibles, I love Ryrie's study Bible, the Ryrie study Bible. The MacArthur study Bible is really good, especially for cross-references. He's got extensive cross-references. I like the Schofield study Bible, particularly the new Schofield. So, but I can do a video about that. Going to Henry Morris, that's a great one too. But I've got a lot of study Bibles, so I'll probably make another video about that in the future.
This one is from one of 7,000. There are 3 questions, 2 of them you answered. The first one was curious on a quick overview on why dispensationalism. Okay. So you covered that one. Second one is any tips for finding a good church after moving to a new area?
That's hard because you could look up a church's doctrinal statement and it could be check all the points, but you really don't know until you go. I mean, I'm going to give you a really biased answer here, which is I'm a Calvary Chapel guy, and so I would say look for a good Calvary Chapel in the area. A lot of Calvary Chapels are independent, and so they could vary quite a bit. But typically, the reason why I like them is that they have a strong emphasis on teaching systematically through the Bible, and they're really friendly. So, and very spirit-led, and I really like them. So that's what I would recommend. But sometimes it depends on where you are. You might be in Alaska. There's only like 2 options. In that case, I would say just go to whatever's near you. Try to build friendships, and then you could supplement on the side by listening to Bible teachers. So hopefully that helps.
And his third question is suggestions for leading family devotions, which we kind of talked about.
Yeah, we kind of covered that. So we just do. It's hard because I don't really have like big kids. My oldest is only 2.5, and so I really can't speak to that as far as like leading a home Bible. Well, I've led a home Bible study, but not with my own kids. I've read Evelyn the Bible, or our daughter. I've read her the Bible, but I guess with just me and Esther just talking about what we read over our Bible reading for the day.
Because I think it helped a lot for us to have the same Bible reading plan.
Yeah.
That really opened up like discussion time.
Yeah, like even the other day, because where we are in Genesis, we were talking about Melchizedek and just talking about him. Mm-hmm. I thought that was fun. It's just something that she read it and I read it, so she brought it up. And I was like, oh yeah, it was fresh on my mind because we both read the same passage. And I really liked it. And it also helps keep us accountable that we're actually reading. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Next question is from Tyler Soul. Question: what thoughts do you have in regards to the CSB for a middle spectrum translation?
Ooh, so actually Esther, this year she's using a different Bible translation, but for like 2 years now, mm-hmm. You've used the CSB.
Yes.
And you like it, don't you?
I loved it, yes.
Yeah. So the CSB is really good. I actually want to do a video on that. It might be one of my next ones coming up, so that's a little secret, but I'm going to do one on that. And it is a great translation. It's really similar, I would say, it's to the NIV. As in, it's in the middle of the road. It's not totally formal. It's not totally dynamic. It's like right in the middle. And it does hit that sweet spot. So I really like it. That's a hint. But I'm going to make a better video about it soon. So.
Next question is from Sewing the Body. He said, your passion and knowledge seem to flow very easily, which I enjoy. My question is, have you preached before, or is it something that you feel God might push on your heart about?
Yeah, we kind of covered that. As far as teaching, I've spoken in public in large groups before. I've never taught a sermon per se, in the sense I've never stood up in a pulpit and actually taught a sermon, but I've led a whole Bible study for 2 years, and I've done other stuff, but I haven't taught a sermon. And I'm not against it. I would love to do that. I'd love to have that opportunity, and so it's just something that I haven't really had the opportunity to do yet, but I would love to. So I'm not against it at all.
Next one you also answered is from Jesus Java Julie. Your videos have beautiful nature backdrops. Where do you film? Like you said,
in the woods, in the wilderness.
Pacific Northwest. The next one is from Winters556. Top 3 translations, or maybe do a video on it.
I'll do both. So I'll answer you real quick and then I'll do one. My top 3, these are the 3 that I use all the time. It would be New American Standard, New King James, and King James. So I like the King James because of how beautiful it is. And I like the New American Standard because of it's what I've grown up using. And I like the New King James because it's the closest thing to a majority text translation that we have. So those would be my top 3 go-to. But I mean, when I say that, I mean I use tons of different translations. So, but
this next one is from Angela. I'll read it to you, obviously. And she said, to be quite honest, I'm almost 50 years old now, and I don't know anything about the Bible except what I hear quoted from time to time throughout my lifetime. I tried to read the Bible when I was a younger teenager, but I could not understand much of it. I had purchased an extra large print Bible last year, and I'm afraid that I still struggle with seeing it. But from what I could make out of it, I still don't understand it much beside with the learning challenges I seem to have. So besides going to a church, is there a good way for someone to start with? I have tried several different churches throughout the years here, and honestly, it just didn't feel right in one way or another. Honestly, it was the folks in the churches that made my visits uncomfortable feeling for me. Not everyone that goes to church are good and honest folks, I had found to be. So where's a good starting point for me? I would want to ask you, I guess. Thank you.
What was his name?
This is from Angela.
Angela. Hey, I have a Facebook. My Facebook's on here. If you reach out to me on Facebook, just send me a message and then tell me, hey, this is, was it Angela? Mm-hmm. This is Angela from YouTube. And then I'd love to help you out. It's hard because I have to know where you are, and I could help you look for something like that. That's really tough. I get it. It's hard to find a good church sometimes. Again, I would recommend checking out Calvary Chapels because that's what I am. But again, that's my bias there. So, but there's a lot of good churches. But it's tricky because sometimes you could go to a church and just might not be a good fit. And a lot of times the people are what make the church what it is. So that's really tough. Keep going and don't give up. It's really noble of you to keep trying. And so, but yeah, message me on Facebook and say, hey, this is who I am, and then I would love to get in touch with you and try to help you out. So. And
then I think she was also asking too because she said she has a hard time like seeing it, like her eyesight. So she said, where's a good starting point for that too?
As far as like reading goes, sometimes. So this is interesting because a lot of times I've heard this. I know a couple of people that are dyslexic, and they try to read, but it's really hard on them. And so what they do is they actually just get an audio Bible, and they use multiple. So I would recommend like an audio Bible. Listen to it. The New Living Translation has an excellent audio Bible, or the what's the name of the one? It's the New King James one. It's not dramatized, but I
think it's literally called the Audio Bible.
The Audio Bible, but it's got a bunch of famous people that are on it, and they all do different narrations and stuff. That one's really cool, and that's New King James. Get a good audio Bible.
It's called, sorry not to interrupt, it's called Word of Promise Audio Bible.
Word of Promise Audio Bible.
It's really good.
I love that one. Check that out. It's not dramatized, but it's kind of dramatized.
It's kind of dramatized.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so then they read, I think it's the New King James. So I really recommend you check that out. It's super cool. But yeah, sometimes reading, I understand having small, or not being able to read smaller print or even bigger Bibles. So I recommend you do that. Yeah, do an audio Bible. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay, next question is from The Drums Say Yes. What do you do for your vocation?
I already answered. Yeah, I work at a headstone company, so.
Jake Jones says, any particular Bible reading plan you like? Maybe your favorite one that you've done?
Yeah, I'm actually working on one right now. I'm kind of doing it in tandem with my current Bible reading plan. But favorite Bible reading plan, I don't really have a favorite per se because I change it up all the time. And I know some people do, they use like the same Bible reading plan for years. And like there's one called the Grant Horner Bible reading plan that some guys that love that are real gung-ho about it. I mean, that's cool. That's awesome that you love it, or that they love it. It's just, for me, I like diversity, so I like to shake it up. So I try something new every year. So hopefully that answers the question.
Next one is from Ryan Stemmen. What are your favorite reference sections in Thompson chain reference or your go-to NASB? Are there passages, references, or notes you find yourself flipping back to again and again?
So is it, do I like the Thompson chain?
He said, what are your favorite reference sections in the Thompson chain reference?
Well, that I think he means like, do I like the Thompson chain references? Well, the Thompson chain, if you guys don't know, it's a study Bible that only does chain references. So the idea is you could start in Genesis and look up a subject, and then it'll take you to every passage consecutively through the Bible that has that passage. So the Thompson chain is really cool. As far as like, yeah, so I use that a fair amount. As far as was it my favorite New American Standard?
Yeah, he said, are there passages, references, or notes you find yourself flipping back to again and again?
Yeah, there's several in Hebrews. Like, let us press on to maturity, the end of Hebrews chapter 5 going into Hebrews 6. Let us press on to maturity, not laying again a foundation. That's one I go to quite a bit. There's several in Hebrews. Another one in Galatians, I can't remember what it is, but it's like, he's called us to freedom. I think the ESV says it that way. He's called us to freedom, brothers. Something like that. There's a ton of passages that I go to pretty regularly, and I really enjoy it. Just going again and again to them because they're so powerful. So, yeah.
Next question is from Dwight Wilson. How old were you when God revealed himself to you? Did you ever run from him like Jonah or me?
Mm-hmm. I was probably, it was 2018 or 19.
2019, I'd say.
So, yeah, so I would have been
23.
Thank you. I can't do math. I would have been 23. Yeah, like 22 or 23. And yeah, I did run from him for a while. So, absolutely. Hey, God can save anybody, right? And in my case, I don't know if I wasn't saved before or I was after, but I know that I'm saved now. And so, yeah, I did run from him for a while, but he called me back. So, what was it? Was that part of the whole question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The next one is from Guillermo 4110. My question is, are premium Bibles worth the money? Will they last a lifetime, as some have said?
The answer is yes. So, well, kind of. Yes, they'll last a lifetime, but no, you don't have to just buy premium Bibles. I mean, I have some premium Bibles, like this one here. I have it. It's a Cambridge Pitt Minion. This is a premium Bible, or at least I believe it's considered a premium Bible, and I love it. It's great quality, But honestly, Bibles have gotten so nicer than they used to be. So the paper is really good, and if you get like a medium Bible, I mean, whether I'm using a Cambridge or a Zondervan or something, whatever. I mean, the first thing it's going to break is going to be the spine, probably, and the cover. So it doesn't matter if you're using a premium or a more affordable one. You'd probably get that replaced anyway. So, yeah, I'd say premium Bibles are worth it. But, dude, some people put such an emphasis on it, like, oh, you have to get the premium. The premium is where it's at. Oh, the salty, you're the true savory Christian if you've got this Schuyler Quintel or something. Those are cool, right? Those are great. But no, you don't have to get the premium. One of my favorite Bibles is not a premium Bible. It's a piece of junk, honestly. But it's it's really special to me because it's it's because I was reading it, and it's not necessarily the quality of the Bible. The point is, are you reading it? So that would be my answer to that.
The next one is from Joe D7880. Question: coffee or tea? Laughing face.
Coffee. I do like tea from time to time, but typically I drink coffee.
Oh.
Yeah, I actually drink it black because I had an uncle that told me I was a wuss because I put creamer in it, and he goes, "That's not coffee," and I was so ashamed that I went and forced myself to like black coffee, and so now I do like it black. But so yeah, coffee. That's the long and short of it.
The next one is from Kale BB8. What translation do you like to memorize scripture from?
I like to memorize from the King James or the New American Standard, particularly 1977, because I think both of those are my favorites, typically. Yep.
Next one is from Dwell with Christ. They asked, what books have most impacted your life outside the Bible? Which I think you answered.
Yeah, I guess if I was just going to pick two, the two biggest, most impactful books that have impacted me, number one would be The Reign of the Servant Kings by Jody Dillow. I did a review of that book if you guys are interested. I think the newer edition is called Final Destiny, but I really recommend you check that out. It's it's a critique of Calvinism, but particularly it's really good on the Lordship, Salvation, Free Grace controversy, but it's really scholarly. And so that book hit me like a freight train. I'd say that's probably the number one. Number two would probably be Calvary Chapel Distinctives, just because of how impactful that was on me. So, yep.
Judy Graff asked, what commentary would you recommend?
Bible knowledge commentary. If you're someone who's not going to seminary and just whatever, I recommend just get that. The 2-volume set, I think you can get them for like maybe $80 for both of them. Super is worth it. That's hands down.
And then you answered this one from Ice5297. What do you do for work?
Yep. So.
And then Connor Green asked, or he said, I noticed there has not been a new video recently. Are you slowing down your output?
Yes, I have been. That's actually my brother-in-law. Yes, I slowed down a little bit. Well, because I recently somewhat changed positions in my company, and so all of a sudden I didn't have the time to make them. So I kind of slowed way down. So, but I plan on trying to be more regular. So I typically try to do 2 videos a week, one on Mondays and Thursdays, but that's not a hard and fast rule. And, I try to do at least one a week. So, yep.
That was the last question.
That's it?
Yep.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for sitting through this. I don't know how long it's been going. What is it, Esther?
48 minutes.
Woo! That's a long one. I'm really glad. I'd like to do these. It's fun to interact with you guys because it's, you just see a face on camera, and it's fun to get to know me more personally. I really like doing these. This is a lot of fun, and you get to hear my beautiful wife on the other side of the.
Goodness.
Oh wow. She's
Okay.
cute. Okay, well, God bless you guys. If you have any further comments, it was torment reading those questions and not answering them in the thing. So what I'll do is I'll probably go back and try to answer those in that previous video in case you don't see this one. Or if you saw this and wanted more, maybe I didn't answer the question you were looking for, feel free to comment below, and then I'll try to answer that as well. It's getting harder and harder to answer all the comments. I used to be really good at it, but then, it's been getting overwhelming lately. So chances are the earlier you get your question in, the more likely I am to answer it. Actually, it's ironic. The earlier or later, but the guys in the middle are the ones that I get, depending on how many, it's like a fire hose and I can't keep up. So anyway, God bless you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your day in Jesus, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.